If you run Meta ads, you know that Meta is constantly releasing new features that purport to help your ads work better. And those are at every level of the Meta ads experience, from creative to copy to attribution methods to all kinds of different things. And it's really hard to know which ones you should and should not use and which ones are most important at any given time. I'm going to tell you what we opt into by default for our 8-figure clients, really for all of our clients, for our 8-figure clients especially, and what I think you should be using. There's a lot of chatter all the time about whether or not Meta features are helping or hurting. I'm going to tell you what we're using all the time and what I don't have a strong opinion on yet, but where I have a leaning and what I think you should be at the very least actively testing that I'm hearing good things about. So I'm going to tell you today 5 features that you should be turning on when you run your Meta ads. And then a couple that I think you should at the very least be testing and very possibly, even probably, be turning on. Let's get into it right now. All right, feature number 1, partnership ads. If you have not done this already, you're definitely behind. Partnership ads is a feature in Meta ads where you can run your ads, of course, through somebody else's page, not just your brand's page. And there's a lot of different ways to do this. But that idea is simple enough. For a long time, Meta has allowed you to whitelist by having multiple pages that you have access to and just sort of making that the default option of what you run your ads through is just sort of which page you select. But partnership ads are a slightly different version of that feature. I won't go into a ton of explanation because I think they're pretty clear to most people at this point. But they basically allow you to select a partner with whom your brand is running ads. And you can decide, do you want to run the ads through the partners page, through your brand's page, or through some combination of both. And I remember at the Meta Performance Summit, I think it was earlier this year, they were talking up partnership ads a whole bunch as a way of handling this. I've seen all kinds of different suggestions around why partnership ads work as well as they do, but they definitely do work, and they work in a few ways. Here's the thing I have found that doesn't work necessarily that well with partnership ads that people talk about: creating fake pages for yourself and then using that as like a whitelisted page, essentially to try to like trick the customer into believing that the ads that you are running are through some page besides the brand page. And I've tested that repeatedly, run it as whitelisted ads, run it as partnership ads. I just really never seen it add a whole lot of benefit so far as I can tell. I'm sure other people have different types of things here, and my testing there could have been a little more scientific, but that's not the thing that is most interesting to me. The most interesting thing to me instead is running real partnership ads with real creator partners, content partners of different kinds. Or if you are the kind of brand that has internal access to creators with, even if they're not huge followings, but whether it's like a founder with some kind of a following or something else, running ads through those pages. So what I'm saying is you should run real partnership ads, right? Not just sort of like fake trickery partnership ads as a baseline version of this tool. We have one client where we just sort of set up the same ads, one of them with partnership ads turned on, one of them without partnership ads turned on. Again, these kinds of partnership ads, we saw 50% more spend at the same target with partnership ads. That was a true split test in Meta, like a true A/B test. That was a good indication that this is everything that people say it is going to be. And what a lot of people point out here is that what partnership ads seem to allow you to do is expand your reach. So if you're working particularly with higher level influencers and creators, setting them up as a partner tends to reach into their audience, especially if they have a decent sized audience, better than trying to just whitelist the ad or run the ad with that content creator, but through your own page, etc. I think there's a much broader point here, though, that is sort of more interesting to me than any notion of sort of the mechanisms of how the machine learning plays out or something like that. The thing that's more interesting to me is that in a world of AI everything, I was so amazed earlier this year, and I've said this before, at the Meta Performance Marketing Summit, at how much talk they gave, not to AI-generated creative, including their own tools. They talked about that a little, but much more about how much they were pushing you to get real creator partners and run ads alongside them as ways to win, and getting real creators, real human beings. And I just continue to think that as the preponderance of AI tools continue to flow, as they get better and better and better, particularly at the level of like essentially AI creative itself, that the people who are going to win are going to be people who use AI to do things that are genuinely creative, okay? Not just to like fake out. Like one way of thinking about AI creative is AI creative as a way to make your creative production cheaper. You just sort of use AI to sort of create fake scenes or videos or whatever. And that maybe is, whatever value it provides. And I've seen some brands have some success with that. It's not like it doesn't work at all or anything. But what's more interesting to me about is using AI for genuinely creative things, okay, first of all. And then secondly, finding places where AI is not the best solution at the level of creative. And this is where partnership ads get really interesting to me, is finding creators who do a great job at scale being really human having really human moments and being humans and interacting in human ways with your brand, with your product, where there's a real fit there. And just like with anything else, with influencer marketing or creator marketing, finding the right overlap between the right kind of creator or influencer and your brand and the audiences and all those things, they all still matter. Partnership ads is the mechanism with which you should do it. One more thing here, you've probably seen if you've run these before that you are able to either pick one brand or pick both brands together so that an ad will show up through one account or through both accounts. If you pick with either of those, you get to choose which account you run it through, the partnership ad, or which order you put the two accounts through, unless you select Meta's dynamic identity feature, which actually will do this for you. So if you sort of put your brand in, imagine I had a creator account, right? And I had one of my brands. Let's say I was doing something with, I don't know, my FC Goods, my old baseball glove wallet brand, okay? So you could do FC Goods and me, and let's say I had an account together. Let's say we did those two things, and FC Goods is the brand, and I'm the partner account, right? You could run it through either one, but what dynamic identity allows you to do is give Meta both of them, and then Meta determines, are we gonna run the ads through one page, through both pages? If we run it through one page, which one? If we run it through both pages, which order do you display them in? And it'll just learn in real time. And it's just one of those little simple, small decisions that's annoying to make in an ad account, and where I'd much rather have machine learning just figure out which one performs best for each customer. And of course, one might perform best for one customer, one might perform best for another. I'm just assuming there's some math under the hood there that allows that tool to broadly work, and certainly better than I do it. And that's the way that we are generally opting in wherever we can, is using dynamic identity for partnership ads. So be running partnership ads. That's number one. Number two, flexible ads. This is one that you must use. You must use flexible ads. I love flexible ads. Flexible ads, very simply, allow you to take a bunch of different assets and put them into one ad, so that at the ad unit level, at the ad level in Meta, you can see you can actually run multiple pieces of creative, multiple pieces of copy, and then Meta just sorts out how to pair up different ads with different copy, etc., all in one ad unit, and it will sort of constantly optimize based on that. Well, let me tell you where we don't like to use these. If we are actually testing something where we really need to see the individual asset level results because we are trying to learn something from those results for future message expansion or something like that, right? If it's going to inform future creative. And the reason we don't like to use flexible ads for this is very simple, which is that you cannot see the ad level reporting or the asset level reporting like the old dynamic creative tool that used to exist in Meta ads. Flexible ads will not show you which asset it is spending on. It won't show you. Okay, I'm sure there's workaround ways to figure this out, including which ads are getting comments and some of that kind of stuff. But like it won't show you. So if you've got 5 videos in one flexible ad, okay, and one of them is getting all the spend, you can't see it. You don't know which video it is. Now, I think that's fine because we believe, first of all, I want Meta to optimize for me, and I am not going to go try and mess with it. I actually know for certain that the reason, at least one of the reasons, that Meta will not show you this data is because Meta does not want you to go turn off some of them and keep the other ones on. They think that's probably going to harm performance. And even though you think you're going to help performance, and I agree with Meta here, I think almost certainly human media buyers are going to get in the way of Meta just finding the right ad for the right person, and they're going to screw it up, okay? So I am completely fine with the idea that I can't see asset level data. In fact, the way we like to use flexible ads a lot is when we have multiple ads where we know for sure that we are going to produce similar messaging as those ads in the future or similar formats in the future. It's like styles or messages or whatever that are just sort of validated in the ad account. And all we're trying to do is expand our reach of those ads in the ad account. If I'm going to expand that either way, I don't really care which individual ad unit gets spent or which individual line of copy gets spent, because I'm going to go repeat that message anyway. I'm going to go find more ads like that anyway. And so for me, I just want the best possible performance on those ad units. Further, I like the idea that it condenses all of my assets into one ad, which means I take up less spots in a given ad set, because assuming that the best performing, or sort of the ideal number of ads in an ad set, is probably about 15 to 20. That's the thing I've heard in a few different places. It's a soft recommendation. It's not something I've super validated, but it's what we do. Assuming that's the case. I mean, even if you run 50 ads in an ad set, at some point, if you produce a lot of creative, you're going to run out of space in an ad set, etc. That means you're going to have to put learning in multiple ad sets. You're going to put conversions in multiple ad sets, all those kinds of things. So for me, what I am trying to do all the time is find ways to condense and consolidate in the ad account without turning ads off. And so flexible ads are a really great tool for allowing you to do this. You can take multiple ads and do this. The other thing some people have pointed out is that flexible ads seem to perform better than the sum of their parts. I'm sure that's in part because Meta also is taking some other creative enhancement liberty that a lot of people turn off in their ad accounts. But basically, flexible ads seem to, I really don't know why. I'm not going to speculate too much about why, but, and I have not also tested this particular thing. It would be an interesting test to go take, 10 ads and run a split test where it's like run them all as one flexible ad versus all of them individually as solo ads. Somebody should run that test and tell me about it. In fact, if you run that test or you want to go commit to running that test, comment to me in the comments here. Let me know, or just in general, if you have thoughts on this episode, comment, subscribe, do all those things. You know what to do with the YouTube video. But anyway, I've heard some people suggest that a flexible ad performs better than the sum of its parts, if that makes sense. And so it works well. I love them. I actually love not seeing the asset level reporting. It gets my brain out of the way, trust in machine learning, etc. If you are a Meta advertiser and you need design and video editing support, creative strategy support, all of those things, you should be considering doing it through Behind the Scenes Studio at btsstudio.co. Behind the Scenes Studio is a design and edit company, agency that I use at AJF Growth as an extension of my team. And they are so good at working through the creative process so that you can generate a high volume of high performing creative at scale. This is literally the team that we use in my business. I would suggest it for yours as well. Here's the ideal way, I think, to be working with Behind the Scenes Studio. Is that when you have creative ideas internally for you and your team, and you want to work with people who can help shape those ideas with you at the creative strategy side, along all the things they are seeing working across all of their clients, and then actually deliver on the production of your design and video assets, BTS Studio is just a really, really good agency to be working with. I'm a huge fan of it. I will continue to be scaling up AJF Growth alongside AC Gardner and her team at BTS. They are based in the Philippines, and so they're affordable. And on top of that, they just do great work. Right? I just can't tell you enough, like how good of a job. But we are working on them with, again, our 8-figure clients. Just a huge fan. If you're looking to extend your design and edit resources, if you're an agency looking to extend your design and edit resources as well, you should be considering doing that through Behind the Scenes Studio. Get on a call with them. If that's what you need, if you are committing to more and better creative in the next year to grow your business, you should be doing it Behind the Scenes Studio. Go to btsstudio.co, get on a call with them, tell them I sent them, btsstudio.co. Number 3, creative enhancements. Here's one that everybody's gonna get mad at me about because everybody loves to say, oh, Meta screws up my creative when they run creative enhancements and they put the wrong music on the thing because you got served a version of your ad that's bad, whatever it is. And here's the thing, you are probably wrong. You just probably are. You know why? Because machine learning is so much smarter than you. We opt into creative enhancements wherever we can, and machine learning will have things wrong here and there, but over time, it will figure out what the best version of your ad is. And I want all the time to get the best version of my ad in front of the right person. And even if it doesn't look like the thing that I want, I am not that good at predicting what is actually going to be best for every single customer. Now, if I was running a very, very large brand, okay, where I had very strong brand standards about what is on brand or off brand, and the brand was, super precious to me, I would not run creative enhancements. And I would understand why a brand like that would not run creative enhancements. But here's the thing. You are not running that brand, and neither am I. Your preciousness about your brand and about what looks and feels good for you is probably counterproductive for your brand. And you ought to give that up and instead say, Meta, put the copy on screen in a different place if you want to, overlay a CTA if you want to, add a little music to my reel if you want to. If it's going to make it perform better, give me the best performance and reach possible, because that's by far the most important thing for my brand at this stage of my business. Turn on the creative enhancements. And if somebody is going to tell me that these don't work, then they're going to need to show me the split tests to prove it, because I just don't believe you otherwise. And I mean that. And in fact, I'll just say more broadly, I am confident that when Meta is rolling these things out, Meta's best incentive, like they have all the users already, right? They already accomplished the thing of having the most users. The biggest incentive Meta has now is to maximize how much spend they can get from all their advertisers relative to those users. That is a really important thing. The more Meta can get value out of a roughly fixed amount of sort of inventory that is available on customers' feeds, okay? The more Meta can get value out of that space, then the more money Meta makes. It is in their strong financial interest, okay, to figure out how to most efficiently distribute your ad dollars amongst its users, give its users the best experience possible, and get you to win as much as possible so that you will spend more money on the platform. The more efficiency they generate, the more money you and I will spend, because they can take the same amount of reach and they can turn the cost of that reach up by providing more purchases back, right? I'm willing to pay a higher CPM for the same number of people if it performs better. That's really clear. So in this respect, Meta, I think, with most of these features, is strongly incentivized to actually roll things out that produce more efficiency for advertisers. People get this wrong all the time. They think somehow Meta's trying to screw you. I just don't think it's true. In general, look, it's a big tech company. Some suspicion is warranted. I don't think that they're altruistic. or anything like that either. I don't think they're perfect at this. I just think, probabilistically speaking, in the aggregate, your default option ought to be to opt into Meta's machine learning things, not opt out of it, because it's in your best interest and their best interest both, and that you can test this. But before you opt out of it and saying Meta doesn't know what's going, I want to see an actual split test or multiple of them that prove this wrong. Turn on the creative enhancements. Number 4, account spend limits. This is a great feature. If you know me, you know I love to run manual bids where your ad account, your campaigns are never hitting their actual budget. You put a $10,000 a day budget on a campaign, you only spend $5,000. That's great because your manual bid, your bid cap, your cost cap, or your target ROAS are suppressing the spend relative to the performance. That's fantastic. Great tool, great feature. I use it all the time. I've tested this repeatedly. We've talked about it endlessly. I make content about it all the time because I just think it's an incredible feature that you can only get customers basically within a target cost for your business. But there's one problem, okay, which is that sometimes if your budget is higher than your actual spend level, either there's a meta bug or an ad that kind of goes crazy that doesn't quite work right because you know, I've never said manual bids are perfect. A bunch of different things happen. You blow through a bunch of budget really, really fast. Well, there's a great safeguard out of this, and shout out to my friend Dr. Andre Lunev, who's the one who really first pushed me to doing this, that we've really adopted it at AJF Growth, to set an account spend limit every day to where you know if this much money gets spent, it's not because your ad's ripped, it's because something went wrong, right? So for example, if I've got an account spending $10,000 a day, you know, roughly, and that might mean it's $8,000 on Tuesday and $12,000 or $13,000 on Saturday or whatever it is, right? I'm going to set an account spend limit at like $20,000, something like that. So that way I have a daily number. It's actually at the monthly level that you set this, but I just go and update it every single day. So I just reset it every single day or add $20,000 or whatever. I just constantly keep it so that my account spend limit is roughly, and this, by the way, is in your billing and notification section in Meta, but your account spend limit is roughly is some amount well ahead of your spend. That way, if something goes wrong, you know, if suddenly, again, there's a Meta bug or something and your ad account blows through a bunch of money really fast and you've got a budget where you're like, you know, say you've spent $1,000 and you've got a $10,000 budget. And so Meta's just blow through $9,000 super fast. The account spend limit will cut it off before the damage gets too bad. Okay. And that's what you want. So it's just sort of a safeguard stopgap. One thing to know about account spend limits is that they are not a pacing mechanism. So they will not pace your ads any differently. All they are is a stopgap so that when you hit the exact dollar amount, your ad account just stops spending. You can also do this, by the way, on individual campaigns. Again, individual ad sets. Like you can set them at a few different places if you really want to create safeguards. We just use an account spend limit. Make sure that that's the case. There's especially a lot of people talking right now about inflated budget strategy, where it's like they'll set a bid cap and then they'll have like $1 million a day ad budget. There's some talk about maybe that helping your performance. I've not seen this validated. It's something I'm sort of putting aside, but that's something people talk about a lot. If you're doing that and you do not have an account spend limit on your ad account, you are just begging for trouble. So make sure you do that. In fact, even if you're not running manual bids, it may be useful to have that anyway, just in case something goes crazy or weird with Meta. It's just a way to stop Meta from spending more money than you want them to. Great. Just a stopgap, but it's really useful. Little help you sleep at night. There's only one sponsor I've ever had on this podcast whose product I have not personally used, and that is the one I'm going to tell you about right now, Workspace 6. And there's a really good reason I haven't used them. It's because I'm not allowed to. Workspace 6 is a private, closed Slack community specifically for operators and executives of e-commerce brands so that you can get access to the help you need from other operators, other executives like you, trying to sort out how to grow e-commerce businesses, get more profitable, figure out how to operate more smoothly, do all the things that work out your supply chains, like do all the things that are day-to-day experiences for e-commerce operators, but that are sort of lonely. You don't know where to go, even though you know some of these are solved problems. Like, for example, if you've got a vendor negotiation you're working with on your supply chain and you can't figure out, like, are they charging me too much? Are they charging me too little? Should I be negotiating my payment terms? How do I do that? How do I sort through a bill of materials? Go to your Workspace 6 team and talk to other e-commerce operators about it in the Slack community. Are you thinking about meta ads and how you can scale and what's working, what's not working right now in this moment? Like, don't just listen to what's out there in the ether from people like me on Twitter or whatever it is. Go to other operators you can get to know and trust in Workspace 6 and a private closed community where you can get answers to that. And the reason that I am not allowed in there is because it's also a place where operators can talk really freely about the vendors and the software and agencies and people like that they are using without those same people being in the mix in the conversation, so they can talk really openly and honestly about that. And so they gate it from people like me. And I love that. I'm really happy to support that. I think it's awesome. People need places to do those things, on top of the fact that it's a great place to just make community, because sometimes sitting in your own office, in your athletic leisure, or whatever you're wearing to work, quote unquote, wearing to work, each day is lonely. Go and get involved in a community where other people understand the exact situation that you are in. So go to Workspace 6, workspace6.io. It's really affordable, $1 for the first month, no long commitment, cancel anytime. I just love these guys. They're awesome. They've been really supportive of me over a very long period of time. I was very happy to talk about why I think this is a great thing. It's one of the only newsletters, I think maybe the only one that I really read super consistently in e-commerce. Just a big fan of the whole team. I've had Sam Mendelsohn on the podcast. Workspace6.io. Get involved in the community, get answers to your questions, do those things for yourself, for executives on your team today. Number 5. Highest value bidding. I have talked about this endlessly, but I still know a lot of people are just not using it. And it's crazy. Highest value bidding is your way of optimizing for customers that are worth more than highest volume bidding. And there's all kinds of reasons you want to use this. The baseline is because it provides incremental reach. Here is a pen from Modern Fuel, a great brand that I used to work with. Okay, this Modern Fuel pen represents every customer available who is conversion optimizable on Meta. Okay, over here are the customers who are likely to spend the least amount of money. Over here are the customers who are likely to spend the most amount of money on your order. I mean, AOV, right? Okay, something like that. Every customer exists somewhere along this spectrum, defined by everything from their shopping addiction to their credit card addiction to their just wealth and happiness to spend products on consumer goods to their love for your product to whatever else. But for any number of reasons, customers exist on this range of likely to spend more, likely to spend less. If you run only highest volume bidding, what used to be called lowest cost, you are going to disproportionately target people on this side of the spectrum, people who are likely to spend less per order. Okay, so there's just a reach issue here. Like there's just some people you're not going to reach. Highest value is going to help reach over here. So if you're only running highest volume, as many people are, whether that's with a auto bid, a bid cap, or a cost cap, in any of those cases, you're only reaching these people. Okay, if that happens, then you're going to leave volume on the table that you could be converting with the exact same ads. So it's just straight up incremental reach at your target cost based on having those people there. Okay, so there's that. But secondly, and by the way, if you wonder, so the way we do this, we run these campaigns side by side, highest volume, highest value, exact same ads in both side by side. We run them with a bid cap on the volume side. We run them with a target ROAS on the value side, but we're running both all the time, exact same ads in both campaigns. Okay, so there's that. So people are worried that there's going to be overlap. There is some overlap, like right here in the middle. Okay, some overlap is happening right there in the middle. That said, it's not very much. And customers probably do move between the two groups depending on any number of features and number of factors, all that kind of stuff. But the overlap, both at the auction level and at the reach level in your reporting, is not very much. And so it is worth running both of those along at the same time. There's another reason for this, though, that a lot of people really don't pay attention to, which is the reality of differing AOVs for different customers and the way that affects CAC. So there's a math thing here, okay? It's very simple, but like imagine two customers. One of them, let's say you are running an apparel brand, okay? And you're running apparel brands where, apparel customers don't just click on your one product and then immediately go buy that product. They shop around. They look at a bunch of different products. They add stuff to their bag, whatever it is. So different customers are likely to spend different amounts of money. And if you're always CAC optimizing those customers, what you're going to do is leave customers on the table who are going to spend more because of the mechanism of a ROAS target not factoring in AOV. ROAS is a ratio metric. So like if you have a $1 million average order value, okay? Like you're selling homes, $1 million average order value, right? A $500,000 CAC is a 2-to-1 ROAS. And your 2-to-1 ROAS looks exactly the same at the level of ROAS. It is measured exactly the same at a 2-to-1 as somebody selling this hat, this daughter's hat, which probably costs $50, okay? Something like that. So a 2-to-1 ROAS is $25 on the hat. It's a $50 hat. I don't know. I don't remember how much it cost. My kid got it for me. Thanks to my son. So the $25 CAC for a $50 hat and a $500,000 CAC on $1 million house is both expressed as a 2-to-1 ROAS. So if you imagine you were selling both of those things at the same time, for the sake of silly hypotheticals here, if you were doing that, okay, and you were selling both at the same time, and you put those two products into the same ad set and you targeted it for highest volume, i.e. lowest CAC, you would never sell a house because Meta would know that it can get the lowest CAC possible on the hat at $25, okay? $25 CAC over and over and over again. It would prefer your ads getting a $25 CAC because it doesn't care what your ROAS is. It only cares what your CAC is. That's what a highest volume optimization is, okay? Now, a target ROAS bid is actually going to say, imagine the margin profile on both of these is the same. It's going to actually go target whatever the highest value customer is while aiming at, if you run a target ROAS, right? If you're running a highest value with a target ROAS, it's going to do that while also trying to hold your ROAS constant at whatever number you set. Now, and so the point is doing both of those at the same time is important. So to take my apparel brand, right? If you are running multiple products, okay, and you get some customers who are going to put 3 things in their bag and 3 things in their cart, and one who are going to get, and some customers who are going to get one, or some customers who are going to buy your $50 hat versus others who are going to buy your $200 jacket or whatever, then it's going to be really hard to actually get both of those customers with the CAC optimization. This actually gets even crazier if you get to something like supplements, where you're running like different products in the same ad set or something like that, or in the same CBO campaign, because now you're going to prefer, if they have different AOVs or different unit economics, now you're going to, if you're not paying attention, you're going to prefer whatever your lower AOV product is, just by definition, if you're running highest volume. So both of those things are really important. There's customers you're leaving on the table, aside from anything else. And secondly, the reality of differing AOVs and being willing to go up market. Okay, to use my hat and jacket example, if the unit economics are the same, I want the $50 hat customer and I want the $200 jacket customer. I don't want to prefer one or the other. So value optimization allows me to go and get the jacket customer and not just get too many of the hat customers. Now, of course, ad set level optimizations can also make a difference there with highest volume. There's some ways to work around this, but you're just never going to reach as many customers as you can without value optimization. You should be using it. One little note, if you're running target ROAS ads, set your target ROAS above your true target ROAS for whatever reason, and I have some theories about why. Your target ROAS will almost always actually be higher than your actual ROAS. So start conservative on your target ROAS and then kind of figure out where it's coming in at. End up at a number that you feel good about. All right, that's the 5 that I think you should be using. Partnership ads, flex ads, creative enhancements, account spend limits, highest value bidding. Let me give you 3 bonus ones. I think I said 2 in the intro. I'm going to give you 3. These are things that I think you should be testing, though I'm not ready to say you definitely should be doing it, but I've heard some whispers from some people, and one of them in particular that I want to tell you about in a second. Number 1, website optimization. This is where Meta will, you put in the URL, the landing page, whatever that you're going to send traffic to. This should not be a landing page that you're actively split testing or something like that, where you're really trying to get learnings on it. But again, imagine you're an apparel brand. You just never know. I've had this conversation a million times. Should you send the customer to the home page, to the collection page, to the product page? Like, I don't know. I don't know the answer. I have like some theories, but I don't really know. Check on that little website optimization, destination optimization button, which you can do at the level of creative. And Meta will theoretically over time start testing where it should send traffic to you on your website and find the winners. That's something I would definitely be testing, particularly if I was in the right category for it. And at some point, I will actually run that split test myself because I think it's interesting. So there's number 1. Number 2, incremental attribution. This is actually something I have tested and seen it not perform especially well. But here's why I'm telling you to test this. First of all, again, Meta released the feature and they're trying to get you incremental conversion optimization. And I have heard mixed things about what incrementality tests have said about this in the early stages. But just recently, I talked to somebody whose name I cannot mention on this podcast, who told me that multiple clients that he is working with have recently tested incremental attribution again. So standard attribution, where you're optimizing for any purchase as measured in Facebook. Incremental optimization is theoretically trying to optimize your spend for incremental purchases, okay, for truly incremental purchases. This person had it on good authority, and I trust him, that incremental attribution was working really well across his clients, and more of them were moving them as measured by actual third-party incrementality tests or conversion lift studies in Facebook, that the incremental attribution tool was doing what it was supposed to be doing. I was sitting with him and a couple other people, and he was saying, hey, have you guys tested this? I said, no, I played with it a little bit in the beginning when it was first released. Didn't see much that excited me. Wasn't excited about some of the third-party tests. It's something that I probably will be testing again in the near future, and I think you probably ought to try out, because if it actually works, it's an awesome tool. The idea that it would specifically get incremental conversions and sort of bring more clarity to your measurement, as well as target the right people, that would be really good. Number 3, AI enhancements. This is one of those things that, again, people are really scared of. I'm not sitting here ready to tell you the AI creative enhancements definitely work, and then they're not going to give you any crazy AI slop or anything like that. What I am telling you is that it's worth testing, that I think probably in the aggregate, given enough data, it works. If you're willing to deal with some insane looking ads here and there, test it. Just give it a shot. I would be testing it. What you will hear throughout this episode of what I'm talking about is that I have a very trust the machine learning, trust the AI mentality. And this is definitely true of the way I think about this kind of stuff in general. What you are asking Meta to do at any given time, the moment you place a single dollar into Zuck's hands, okay, and run a single ad, you are asking Meta to sort through its billions of users, or hundreds of millions if you're in the US only, okay, using their tools across multiple platforms for countless hours, multiple placements, stories, reels, threads, Facebook, desktop, everything that you can find, all these placements, and find the right person in your right demographic to convert on your product. It is a machine learning miracle that this works. It is incredible that this works at all. It is a giant future prediction machine. And it is an impossible puzzle for any human brain to sort out. So the idea that you would go and say, I am going to give Meta my money and put a whole bunch of time into getting good at this tool and then trust my own brain to optimize for the future better than Meta's is crazy talk. It's crazy talk. You have already pot committed to the idea that machine learning and algorithms are going to optimize your ad spend. Lean into it. Don't lean against it. It is already better than you at it. It is the reason why Meta is so effective. It's the reason why you are placing your ads, among others, on Meta and not on the Google Display Network and not on TikTok, which is not as good at this yet, not on Snapchat, which doesn't have the volume and isn't as good at this yet, etc. It is the reason why you love this tool because it's so good at conversion optimization. It's the reason why it's where all the money goes, and it's the reason why you should keep doing it. You should have a trust the machine learning first mentality, and the burden of proof should be on the idea that it doesn't work, not that it does work when you see new features come into Meta. That's the way I'm approaching it. That's the way I think you should do. That's what will guide you beyond any of these individual features into how you should think about this going forward. All right, thanks so much for watching or listening. I would love your comments on this. I'd love to hear about how your Black Friday, Cyber Monday went. This should release soon after that. I would love to hear any thoughts you have on this episode. Am I just crazy for being so pro Meta? Am I just drinking the Kool-Aid here? I know many people are much more skeptical of Meta than I am. So tell me why I'm wrong. I'd love to hear about it. And again, subscribe so you don't ever miss an episode of my podcast. We've got a couple really good ones coming up that I think you're going to like a lot as we round out the year. Got some really good media buying stuff, as well as some interviews sort of broader about sort of life and e-commerce and everything in between. So it's going to be really good. Don't miss any of the episodes. Email me, podcast@ajfgrowth.com. ajfgrowth.com is where you can go to see everything that I'm doing. It's my website, including signing up to work with AJF Growth at some point in the future. Big thanks to my sponsors for this episode. That's Workspace 6, who I'm a big fan of, as I have mentioned before, as well as Behind the Scenes Studio, who I work with every day in my own business, and you should work with them too. Thanks so much for watching or for listening. I will see you next time.